At the end of The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Season 2, Episode 4, Joel asks if it's possible for people to ever truly forgive. We wonder if Joel is doubting whether Midge can forgive him. But maybe the person who needs to forgive Joel is Joel himself. Can someone ever really be forgiven? This question and others in this installment of The Marvelous Miss Maisel Review Season 2. Episode 4 of Season 2, titled We're Going to the Catskills, rated 8.7 on IMDb, and then, as always, I'm going to give you the highest composite score from a particular demographic and the lowest, and the highest composite score was a score of 9.1 for women over 45, and consistently, for the 4 episodes now that I've reviewed, it scores highest in that demographic, women over 45. And then it usually has trouble with men over 45, but I'm going to check right now, but I think it's different this week, this episode. And yes, it did score lowest among men over 45, but it also scored lowest from men 30 to over 45. So just any man over 30, that demographic gave it an 8.5. It's not terrible. I mean, it's a 0.6 difference, half a point difference. It could have been worse. Director of the episode, Daniel Palladino, and he's also the writer, so director and writer of the episode. Director of photography, M. David Mullen, who also was the DP on episode 1 of season 2. And now let's get into the plot summary, courtesy as always of Amazon Prime. The Weismanns arrive in the Catskills for their annual summer trip and attempt to settle into familiar patterns. Whispers of Midge and Joel's separation cause Rose to poke around her daughter's love life. Susie must adjust her summer plans in an effort to keep her and Midge's career momentum going. Let's discuss the different plots. Here it looks like there are 3, a B, and a C plot. I don't see a D plot for this particular episode. I'm trying to think. So we have the family, kind of the family drama at being at the Catskills. So that includes the hijinks of Abe and Joel. I'm including that as part of this family plot for Joel seeing Abe's jumper. It's more of a recurring joke than it is plot. And Abe's drinking. There's a lot. It was really a comedy of manners. I was going to mention that later, but I'll just say it now. It was a comedy of manners. So there were a lot of bits about the behavior of the family. And so here, this sort of C plot being the Weismann family. We have Abe with his drinking, Abe with his jumper, with like just all these little bit jokes. Okay, Rose and Midge is a separate plot. That's like Midge's love life. So we'll call that the A plot. Really, that's the main. That's the main story, the main thread for the episode. Pretty much the hijinks of the family. We'll call that the B plot, and then the C plot was Alex Borstein. Susie was the C plot, and I think in comparison to the stuff spent on the Weismann family, and also like all the little bits about the camp that we kind of get the throwaway jokes, I think Susie is below all that. So she's the C plot. The B plot is the Weismann family, and then the A plot is Midge and Midge's love life. And this is a run-on sentence, isn't it? And her mother's meddling into her love life. Now, among the Weismann family, we got a really great scene, a bravura scene of comedic timing and direction and writing, and that's when they arrive to their cabin for the first time, and it's a long take, and we get running bits about who's in the kitchen, what's going on with the tree, you can't do anything with the tree, you're not Jimmy, and all these bits occur as the family are running inside the cabin, up and down the stairs, and getting into their marks to say their lines and then leaving. It's very frantic, and all the lines are really sharp, and the music really adds to the momentum of the scene, and it just highlights that the episode is going to spend some time just with the Weismann family. And that includes Rose getting concerned and meddling into Midge's love life. It includes a little bit about the events and circumstances going on at the camp. So we get Midge in her swimsuit competition, and we get Midge helping someone hook up with another person at the camp, and we also see a lot of the color of the camp. And I thought at the end, even though it's sending up the family, we get a sense that this is a really functioning family. We see the love between Rose and Abe, the rapport that they have, and I'm thinking of the scene where they're watching the fireworks, that even the little foibles that each of them has, for example, Abe with the running gag in this episode of him not being able to judge how much he can drink and missing the fireworks, so Midge is describing the fireworks to him, that the family loves each other. And it works really well because at that moment, that's when Joel is really feeling left out. So that scene of the family enjoying the fireworks and Joel walking off in angst and a funk because he feels he'll never be able to get Midge back. We get the contrast, and things work really well in contrast. In fact, maybe they work the best in contrast. It was for maybe not all the people who are watching this are familiar with who the artist of The Watchmen is or was. It's Dave Gibbons, and he was at Comic-Con one year. I saw him. He talked about how you can use contrast to define something. If you want to show how something is really tall, you put something that's really small next to it, because then it appears even taller in comparison. So by showing the foibles of the Weismann family, and then at the end really showing how well they can function together, you were able to see in stark relief that Joel is missing that, because his family's kind of falling apart, and he feels like he's the one that has to really bring them together. The next plot we'll discuss will be Midge's love life. And here we get Zachary Levi as I want to say he's going to be the love interest, that there'll be a love triangle. I do want to point out, though, on Reddit, they felt that there was a potential gay angle to the character. I didn't see it, but someone pointed out that at the time where the show takes place, 58, 59, that weird, he mentions that he wants someone that's weird. That weird at that time was a code for gay. So if that's a thing, I don't even think it's a thing. I mentioned it because it was on Reddit, and there were a few people that were responding to this. That if it's a thing, they called it. I didn't see it, but they called it. However, I do feel that Zachary Levi is supposed to be going to be the rival for Midge's affections in the show. One very interesting thing about the dynamic between Midge and, oh geez, Bejeebus, I can't remember what Zachary Levi's character, I think it's Benjamin. Yeah, Benjamin. Between Midge and Benjamin. It's, there's a bit of gender reversal going on, and it's not quite clean because Midge is conflicted about her role. She gets into the canoe and expects that Benjamin will row the canoe, yet she was the one who asked him on the date, quote unquote date. And Benjamin quite rightly points out, well, you asked me on the date, you should do the rowing. And she does not want to give up her role as the beautiful woman, but she's not acting like the demure woman. And in many ways, it's kind of it's unique to that era. Being that kind of liberated woman was just a little bit ahead of the curve. It wasn't quite in the air as far as, I think second wave feminism was the mid 60s, so she's at the point of first wave feminism. Yet she wants to be that independent woman who can go out and speak freely and swear if she wants to and show her breasts if she wants to and not be punished by society. And at the same time, she also wants to wear very fashionable clothing. She wants the man to be the one that's rowing. So as I was saying, it's ahead of the curve, but it's not out of the blue. If you look to the films of Katharine Hepburn, Bringing Up Baby, and I think it was Battle of the Sexes with Spencer Tracy, but any of those films with Spencer Tracy where she's very independent, and especially in Bringing Up Baby, the man plays the woman and the woman plays the man, and Cary Grant in that film is very demure, and a lot of the humor comes from him being the straight person to Katharine Hepburn, who's always so forward and straight to the point that he often doesn't know what to say because she's breaking norms by being that way. And we see that with Midge, that she wants to be the stand-up comic, and she wants to just say the things that people don't dare to say, but she can't dare to admit that she's doing that to her family. So she's conflicted. And Benjamin is challenging that from her character. He's not doing it intentionally, it's just who he is. But who he is highlighting the contradiction of her position in society and her awareness of her position in society. And then finally we have the C plot, which was Susie. And Susie, it felt a little tacked on. I could sense that they're setting her up so that she can be the impetus for getting Midge into the Catskills, and that the writers, Daniel and Amy, wanted to do something about the Catskills, and so Susie's the best way to get Midge into that. But her just showing up at the camp, it made sense. It was a little of a stretch, but it made sense. But I love her walking around with a plunger, and because she has a plunger, she's now a plumber. Just carrying a plunger makes her the plumber. It's the old comic trope of the disguise, and I'm sure we're going to get a scene of her being called upon to be a plumber. And I could see it going one of two ways. I could see her failing at it, and then we get the comedy of embarrassment. I could also see them making her the master plumber, that she finds a talent she never knew she had, and that she is called upon to be the plumber and succeeds, and then surprisingly wants to do it more. I could see it going either way. Either way could be funny, but that status quo is not gonna last. She's not gonna just sneak in and try to be the plumber until the end of the summer and then walk away clean. That's definitely going to be built upon in some way. And so we have the last question: Can Joel be reformed? And that question
That question is asked at the very end of the episode when Joel is talking to Zachary Levi, Benjamin. And Benjamin is the nihilist. He's just like, people are people, and people are going to let you down, so that's why I don't deal with people. It's not even a nihilist, it's a pessimist, which really a pessimist in many cases is a failed romantic. So I think it's apparent Zachary Levi is there to be the love interest for Midge, or I don't say the love interest. He's there to be the competition for Joel.
Now, whether that leads to Joel and Midge getting together is anybody's guess at this point. But I think Benjamin, Zachary Levi's character, is there to stir the pot.
And now that leaves us to find out what direction will that character go, and what will happen to Midge while she's beginning to do comedy in the Catskills. Will this lead to her being revealed to her family?
And will Abe finally figure out the correct amount that he can drink before getting drunk? And will Rose be more Rose? Tune in next week when we find out the answer to these questions and others. That's all for now. Take care and be well. Ladies and gentlemen, no need to be alarmed. This is only a test. Should this be a real application of the Emergency Broadcast Network, be warned that you be assumed was restricted, and to stay in touch with this broadcast station for further announcements. This is only a test.